everybody, this is Viveka from the Nourish Caveman and the Healing Foods Method. If you don't know me, I am a keto nutritionist and I specialize in female hormones and thyroid and adrenals. So thank you for coming today for this topic, Q&A, discussion, and a little chat live with you. So as I am waiting for some people to come and start asking questions, as I have not had the time today to send the email out as early as usual, so a lot of people did not have time to ask for questions. So I do have some topics that I want to talk about intermittent fasting. Hopefully that will be an interesting topic, but why don't we say hi to our first viewers here, my first viewers, and please say hi to me and tell me where you're watching from. If you are watching me right now, I am in Ojai, California, and today is finally a beautiful day. The sun came out and it's sunny California. So where are you guys watching from? Please pitch in and let me know at any time. If you have any questions, you can just write them in the chat so that as I speak about the topic, then you can ask me about it or anything that goes through your mind regarding to Culver City. Wow, you're really close. I bet you it's foggy today in Culver City. I know it's been really bad in LA and we are a little bit more inland here, luckily, so we do get to see some sun. So hi everybody again. So tell me where you are. I don't know why my phone is giving me all these notifications suddenly, but we're gonna try to do this to the best of our technological abilities. So let's jump in, and please, you guys, anytime from, wow, how do you pronounce that, Claudia? From New York. Tuckahoe. Wow. Interesting, never heard of that place, but hi, thank you for watching. And foggy in Culver City. So please tell me where you're watching from. Hi, Adrienne. It's good to see your face here. Thank you for watching. So it's exciting to have all you guys here with me. I think today's topic is going to be really interesting, if nothing else, because it's a hot topic at the moment. Everybody's talking about intermittent fasting. You're in Texas. Oh, wow. How nice. So intermittent fasting is the thing to do, especially in the keto world. And I have done a little bit of research because usually, I don't look too much of what's going on out there because I have my own knowledge and experience. But I kind of had a quick review of what's out there in the social media and on the internet about intermittent fasting right now. And the first thing that I want to mention that really jumped out to me is that about 90% of the people talking about IF right now are guys. And of those 90%, 80% of guys, I would say the majority of them are probably under 40, if not under 30. So here is, my nose is itchy, sorry. Here is the first thing that I want to address, and that's how the physiology of a 20-year-old guy is very different than a 30, 40, or 50, or even 60-year-old woman. So today I wanted to speak specifically about intermittent fasting for women because my main audience is women. I work with women. I specialize in it. Sorry, call came through. This is my phone. So there is a lot of talk on how to do intermittent fasting, why to do it, but what about these young guys versus somebody like me? I'm a 50-year-old woman. I'm in perimenopause, and my hormones are definitely different. My lifestyle is different, and my needs are different. So before we jump into the specifics, I want to talk a little bit in general about intermittent fasting, how to do it, what does it mean, and what we do, and what we eat when we do it, ideally. because like that's not even that clear of a topic. What do you eat when you actually eat and you are not fasting? So first of all, intermittent fasting means that you are going to be eating within a short window of time during the day. So you're not fasting for days on end, but you're fasting for a number of hours. It's very different than long-term fasting. So intermittent fasting, I would say it would be for a maximum of 20 hours at a time. Anything that's longer than 20 hours, up to like starting around 24 hours, will be a proper fast. And long-term fasting can be anything from 24 hours to a week, 4 days, 3 days, sometimes a month, depending on your case and the necessity of fasting. So why do we do intermittent fasting? First of all, well, there are some pros and cons. And that's something I really wanted to touch on today, because people think it's this great thing. It's the magic bullet. It will solve all your problems. It will make you lose weight, like melt the pounds. And it was just like, that with keto is just the end solution for all the issues. But guess what? Of course, it's not true. And all these claims need to be taken with a little pinch of salt and a grain of salt and some common sense, because every case is different. And so talking about intermittent fasting for women, what are the pros? First of all, why would we want to do it? For me, one of the biggest benefits is that skipping a meal, extending your fasting period, it is an easy way to keep your calories down and keep your ketosis up. So when you want to, keep an eye on your weight, you don't want to overeat, and you also want to get the maximum benefits of your ketosis getting high, then you can start some intermittent fasting. So I haven't talked about how to do it yet, but I will give you some idea of what it would look like. Maybe I should have done that first. Well, it's one of those days. So another good benefit of intermittent fasting is that giving your body a longer period of time without food, it really helps the body detox, and it really kicks in those automatic detoxing response mechanisms in the body that start when we stop putting in toxins. And sometimes even in the best foods we can eat, there might be intolerances or there might be some environmental toxins. The body really responds to no foods. So when we talk intermittent fasting, we usually talk water, and we'll go into this detail in a second, a little bit more detail. But we really give our body, we support the natural ability of our body to start detoxing, which for me, in my personal practice and in my life, I know it's one of the pillars of my health. A clean body, a toxin-free, it will never be completely toxin-free, but a relatively toxin-free body is really the number one best defense against any kind of disease. So that's a big pro of intermittent fasting. Now, another huge pro, another benefit of it is to reduce insulin resistance. So I don't want to go into the mechanisms of glucose and insulin too much. I have videos where I talk about it. There are tons of videos on the internet where everybody talks about it. But when we don't consume food, or when we don't consume insulinogenic foods, that means any kind of foods that spike insulin, like glucose, like sugar, like carbs, then our insulin remains kind of even and low. And when the insulin remains low, the glucose remains low, the insulin remains low, that means that our body has actually the ability to reset our receptors where the insulin is constantly plugging in when it's high, and give the receptors a chance to become more sensitive to insulin itself. That means needing less insulin, keeping your blood sugars lower, giving your blood sugars the ability to finally come down again. So I don't know how many of you out there are measuring your blood sugars. Are you guys measuring your blood sugars? Please pitch in. And have you tried it before? let me know, because that's for me it's a big part of the kind of work that I do, because it gives me a lot of information about glucose, about insulin, also about cortisol, and about your metabolic response. So big benefit of intermittent fasting, these longer periods of fasting with no food coming in enable your insulin to drop, so your body becomes sensitive to it again, and then your blood sugar lowers, and that has a number of benefits. Number one being you're going to be able to burn fat for energy again, because one of the main things that insulin does is that it stops your body from burning fat for energy. So the whole idea of ketosis, especially for weight loss, I mean, ketosis for weight loss, because ketosis has many benefits, but ketosis for weight loss is to burn our fat, for energy, and not keep having to put sugar in and burn the sugar and accumulate fat. So we want that effect of lowering insulin so we can burn fat and most efficiently in our body when we are in ketosis. And then, of course, I mentioned it at the beginning, there is weight loss, because we concentrate our eating window, and so we can skip a meal basically, and it becomes easier to control our calories. We can have some good meals and not overeat and still be able to lose weight easier or maintain our ideal weight. What are the cons? So we talked about the pros. Now, what are the negative effects of intermittent fasting? For me, the main one is on hormone balance. So here is where the big difference between men and women occurs. Men have a lot simpler hormones than we do, and they have several advantages in their lives compared to women, like they don't get periods, we do. But also their hormones are a lot more straightforward. They don't have monthly fluctuations. Also, they don't have hormonal cascades that are like the women's hormonal cascades, where from the cholesterol and DHEA, we have to make all the sex hormones, including cortisol. So this is kind of a more complicated topic because it talks about pregnenolone still and how cortisol imbalances our sex hormones, and we can talk that specifically in another video maybe. But I just want to say that when a woman has a very delicate hormone balance and we introduce long periods of fasting, and you already have a number of stressors in your life, like social media, the kids, the job, life, traffic, finances, and toxins inside your body. There are all these things coming at us constantly, and then we add not eating for 12 hours. What happens then is that your body will take it as an added stressor, so it's going to push on your adrenals, and it's going to sometimes tip over this delicate balance of your adrenal function that most times is just barely hanging on for dear life, and it's barely functioning. Sometimes it's not even functioning properly. I see women with adrenal fatigue every single day. I would say that about 90% of my patients have adrenal fatigue of some level, because there are different degrees, of course. But if you know that you are stressed and you are tired already, and you are having all these different stressors in your life, I don't think that intermittent fasting will be a good idea if you are a woman, because it will send eventually your complete hormonal balance out of whack. So it is a cascade. There is a specific sequence where cortisol, stress hormone, is connected to the sex hormones. And when the adrenals go out of balance, it affects all the other hormones as well. So there again, we go back to the 20-year-old bodybuilder guy or young guy, active athlete, versus a 50, 60-year-old woman or a 40-year-old perimenopausal woman. If you have any hormonal issues, you have long periods, hemorrhages, cramping, and you're tired, and you wake up and you can't face life without coffee, I would say don't do intermittent fasting because it's really not going to help you. You need to fix your adrenals first, and you need to get your hormones back in balance. Otherwise, you're basically going to add gasoline to the fire. So another thing is the triggers to starvation signals of our body as women, which is the hormone leptin. So we are much more sensitive to leptin than men are. Of course, because women are the one that carry children, genetically and hormonally, we are designed to kind of accumulate extra weight so that we can have reserves for when we carry children, to complete a good pregnancy, to give us the extra padding. It's like money in the savings account, energetically and nutritionally, right? But nowadays, especially, a lot of women are very lean. They have very low body fat. And as you guys probably have noticed out there, the fertility of women, especially in the United States, is getting lower and lower. Those two things are connected. And the reason is because we're very sensitive to this starvation hormone called leptin. Leptin gets triggered when we fast. Leptin gets triggered where our body weight goes under, when our caloric intake goes under. That's a good question. I'm gonna reply to you in a second. Faiza, I hope I pronounced your name right. So because of that leptin sensitivity to our hormonal balance, we need to be very careful about the kind of intermittent fasting we do, the amount that we do, and looking at our body weight and the general calorie intake in the eating window, and how we are also stressing our body through over-exercising and which is another stressor. So a lot of time, hey Kayla, a lot of time over-exercising and hormone problems come together. So let me go back to this question because it's very pertinent. So Faiza says, how do we know if, sorry, you guys, I'm very popular in this moment, evidently, because I'm receiving like non-stop messages and phone calls. Of course, the moment you try to do a live video, that's what happens. How do we know if the hormones are being affected negatively by IF? I miss my period, so wondering. Yes, that's how you would know. Good signal. You're missing your period. That's one of the first thing. And by the way, ladies, so between the two scenarios of a woman with missing periods, so amenorrhea, versus a women who have heavy periods, the first case is way harder to solve. Once your periods go away, sometimes it's almost impossible to get them back. And once your period go away, sometimes it's really hard for you to conceive. So a lot of women who want to become mothers, but in their 20s and 30s, maybe they're like over-exercising, under-eating, very lean, and then intermittent fasting on top, forget your fertility. Like, that is not going to make a healthy baby or any baby at all. Sorry, I need to take a sip of water. Been working all day and talking all day. So one of the cons of intermittent fasting was hormonal balance. Let me see if there was any other question. Ashley, hey Ashley, thank you for asking a question. I've been fasting 24 hours doing 1 or 2 big meals. My periods are normal, but the Dutch test I just did, my estrogen and progesterone are tanked. Ouch. And my cortisol is high. Could it be the case? Yes. And Ashley, didn't you do my program? I think it's been a minute. I'm sorry. I can't remember if we just did a consult or we did the whole program. Your case and that question, you guys, is where the gold is. That is exactly pregnenolone steal, what I kind of mentioned before. It's a big word, but pregnenolone steal just means that there are, from cholesterol and DHEA, where the hormones are made, 2 pathways. one goes to cortisol and one goes to the sex hormones. And it's not entirely true because like estrogens are on this side, progesterone is on that side, I think. But, you know, it's still, there is a very clear effect that when the stress is high all the time and all the raw materials, DHEA and cholesterol, are shuttled down the cortisol pathway, what happens is that there is not enough to make estrogen and progesterone. And this is a typical pathway for women, especially if you're not either eating enough fat or absorbing your fat. So there are, you know, two factors here. So one is you need to eat enough good fats to make that cholesterol, to have that cholesterol, which is not even a fat, it's a glycerol. But we need fat, we need cholesterol also to make the raw material of cholesterol. Our body can manufacture cholesterol, but why would you want to have your body work extra hard to make things that you can actually eat? In the form of fat, of course. So I think I lost track here. Oh yeah, Ashley, I hope that answered your question. Yes. I don't know how long you've been doing that kind of fasting, but I would definitely have a look again at your adrenals. Maybe you can do adrenal index saliva test and see where your cortisol is. Oh no, you say your cortisol was high, so you already know where your cortisol is. So yeah, we need to look at your adrenal health, support adrenals, stop the fasting. And for me, the best way to support adrenals, oh gosh, what did I do, you guys? Today it's technology impairment, quiet mode turned on, swipe left. Okay, I got the comments back. Yeah, so you did the program last year, I think I remember now. But we really talked about that a lot in the program, about healing your adrenals and keeping them healthy. So you should know better, girl. Again, eating to support the adrenals. What does that mean, by the way? For me, it means that you eat protein 3 times a day. You don't snack for the insulin. You don't eat high carb. You eat keto paleo with high protein, and you eat 3 times a day. You monitor your blood sugar, making sure it's as stable as possible, because adrenals are involved in the regulation. If you guys watch my lives or my YouTube videos, I talk about this all the time. So yes, you want to maintain your blood sugar stable, and of course supplementation. And we talked about this last week. You know, what kind of supplements do I use to support adrenal function? So we mentioned adaptogens, and I mentioned glandulars, protomorphogens, that is a special kind of supplement, and now I also use homeopathics. So I have an array of tools in my toolbox. So here, first of all, Ashley mentioned she does a 20 to 24 hour fast. What does intermittent fasting, what can it look like? So we have 3 kind of scenarios. One is a 12-12, which is 12 hours eating and 12 hours fasting, which is very easily done because we can fast overnight. That should take at least 7 or 8 hours of it. And sometimes all we need to do is skip breakfast or skip dinner. And there you go, you already have a very easy 12-hour fast. Now, the second fast is 16-hour fasting and 8 hours eating window. And that's also pretty easily done, skipping 1 meal. The third is the one that, I kicked the tripod, help. Oh, one clumsy person today here. You guys can laugh at me, it's okay. Entertainment value. So the third kind of fasting is the 20-hour fast and 4-hour eating window. So which one would I recommend for women? I would definitely recommend the first two, 12-12 or 16-8. I think that the other one, as Ashley can testify from her hormones, and all of you can read it in the comments, it's a live case study, you guys, or you ladies. The 24 hours fast is not ideal. Now, I want to make a very important distinction here. There is a big difference between doing a 20-hour intermittent fasting either every day or every few days versus doing a long-term fasting that is more than like 48 hours, about 3 days, and do it less often but to prolong the fast. I find that that way of fasting is a lot less stressful on the adrenals, and it has more benefits. So all the benefits that we talked about, especially detoxing and cell apoptosis, which we didn't really talk about, it's kind of a little bit different subject, but it helps the natural cell death so that our cells can renew and stay healthy. That is also maximized in longer fasts. I'm a big fan of like 3-day, 4-day fasts, maybe once a month, for people that cannot do intermittent fasting yet. And then again, I know that almost anybody can work their way up to an almost daily routine of intermittent fasting, or like 5-6 days a week, because you just need to support your hormonal function. And when your hormonal function is solid and stable, then you'll be able to fast. I was not able to do intermittent fasting before. It took me a while. And now what I do is I usually do a 16-8. Not even trying, honestly. I just have tea for breakfast. And by the way, so that will take us into how to eat for fasting and some tips. But how I eat is like just tea for breakfast with no collagen and no fat, because then it's breakfast, so no, you can't do a fat tea while you're fasting, because that wouldn't be fasting anymore. But you too can do a cup of tea, just herbal tea or even matcha, green tea, even black tea if you have to. And then break your fast later and later during the day. Naimisha asks, do you recommend IF while on keto, and how long is good for fast weight loss? Please watch the whole video. Consider everything that we say. Yes, I do. I recommend to do IF while keto if your hormones permit and your adrenals permit. And then I think that you can do it on a regular basis, almost daily, if you do a mild one, so either 12-12 or 16-8. And yes, it's helpful for weight loss because you're able to concentrate and reduce the calories and, and all the other things that we talked about. So I wanted to talk about what to eat and a couple of things, like tips. So the first thing we talked about tea. So the other thing is coffee, and supposedly the tips, a lot of tips for intermittent fasting recommended coffee. Drink coffee in the morning and then fast until 1 or 2 p.m. When you drink coffee, you might feel a temporary appetite suppression effect, but don't forget that what also happens is that as soon as the caffeine comes down, and also I read a study that is not even the caffeine that is appetite suppressant, is another compound in the coffee, but caffeine is there too. So as soon as the caffeine comes down, your blood sugar will also crash, because what coffee does is pushes cortisol, which pushes glycogen, which raises blood sugar, and so your blood sugar is higher when you drink coffee. And then as soon as the coffee is done, the coffee comes down, blood sugar crashes. Guess what's going to happen then? You are going to be double hungry. It might not be the same for everybody, but anybody who is even slightly sensitive to caffeine, or slightly sensitive, like insulin and sugar glucose sensitive and insulin resistant, will feel it. So my suggestion is don't use caffeine, because you're stressing your adrenals out. So why add an additional stressor while you're already stressing them out by fasting? I'm indulging myself with bubble water today. So Sandy, hey Sandy, hi. Ticino okay for breakfast without breaking a fast? Yes, without anything in it. So just water and the tea bag, that's okay. And the same like water and green tea, or herbal tea, it's okay for a fast. Ideally, it would just be water. Like a real fast is just water. So last thing, I'm losing my voice, you guys. It's been a long day. Break hunger response. So it's another benefit that we can get, and a tip by doing intermittent fasting a certain way. You know how we get hungry every day at the same time? That's because of the hunger response. Our bodies know, they're kind of just like your cat or your dog. When you feed them every day at the same time, 10 minutes before that time, they'll start like looking at you or sit by the bowl and wait. They know when you're going to feed them. And same our stomachs. They know when we're going to eat. So our stomachs actually start producing digestive enzymes and chemicals before we eat, which is a positive thing. But we also get a big hunger response. We start getting hungry every day at the same time. So if we want to break that pattern and kind of reduce the hunger response, what we can do is skip random meals. So I would say you can skip breakfast one day and then dinner another day as you shorten your eating window. Kind of move the lunch around maybe. And again, I have a book here that I am referring to a little bit for certain things, and I want to recommend this from Dr. Jason Fung. And by the way, you guys, I interviewed him, so it's on my blog and on my YouTube channel, a great interview with Dr. Jason Fung. He is so sweet. In that day, my internet crashed 3 times. It was the worst experience ever. As I was filming the interview, there are all these cuts because it kept crashing. It was horrible. But we had an awesome chat about insulin and insulin resistance. We talked about intermittent fasting. So go check it out. I'll try to plop a link under the video after it publishes on Facebook. And another question. Yay. Bodhi, I'm not a woman, I'm a man, but intermittent fast, and I've been for 10 years. I bet you get good results with that, Bodhi. How do you like your experience with it? I mean, you've been doing it for 10 years, so it must be working for you. It's so much easier being a man and doing that. For a woman, like, we have very delicate hormones. But if done the right way, we can still do it. We can still do intermittent fasting successfully if we do it the right way. If we do it the wrong way and we go full on, it's going to happen something like Ashley. Sorry, I keep mentioning you, but you're such a great example. And she basically crashed her sex hormones and her cortisol is too high. So we don't want that result. Having enough problems with hormone, everybody does pretty much, without adding an extra stressor out of our own volition. So last thing, I think that's it for today. I mentioned the book. This is a great book. Strongly recommended. I also wrote a post about keto, paleo versus fasting, which is pertinent to this topic, and it's on the blog, The Nourished Caveman. So there is a lot of good information on that post. I think that's it for today. Any more questions? Otherwise, I am over and out. Thank you, Adrienne. So good to see you here. Thank you so much for watching. And here's the 3rd phone call, you guys. I don't know what's happening today, but thank you for bearing with this madness and craziness in me trying to give you some information and some support in your keto journeys as you ladies and us ladies and our hormonal processes, and trying to navigate that the best way we can in a healthy way, with support and in an intelligent way and in a common sense way. I'm big on common sense. So thank you for watching. You can still ask me questions and post them under the video. Thank you, Kirsten, for watching. Post your questions under YouTube video as well. Last week I wasn't able to upload the video, so that there is one less on YouTube, but you can follow my YouTube channel and all these videos end up there. So they're easy to find all together on my channel in nice little playlists, so organized. And otherwise, my blog, The Nourished Caveman, I do have a program that I keep mentioning kind of in passing where all my famous patients come from. And it's a 4-month program where I work right now, just working one-on-one with people. If any of you is ever interested, you can reach out to me. You can email me at vivica@thenourishedcaveman.com. And also there is an inquiry form on my blog under the Healing Foods Method page on the Nourished Caveman website. So thank you. And I got another message from bodybuilder doctor. For 5 years I've had MS, so I've had to balance all aspects of nutrition. Yeah, thank you so much for watching, Doc. And it's great feedback. And are you managing your MS with keto and intermittent fasting, or just are you doing intermittent fasting and no keto? Because like, if it was me, I would probably suggest to do keto paleo with intermittent fasting, because it's also an elimination diet and it's an anti-inflammatory diet. But you're the doctor. Okay, well, thank you so much. And we can continue this conversation also offline in the comments. So thank you, everybody. I'm going to sign off, and I'll see you next Thursday. I'll be here next Thursday, and then I'm going to start traveling. So be right here. Oh, hi, California. Thank you. Have a great Thursday.